Coming up on Now See This.
I was worried that it might break loose, pin them against the guardrail.
A roughneck on the roof learns why police call this a takedown. Thrill seekers turn the skydiving world upside down, only to be brought back to Earth.
Holy shit!
Hard. And a starlet turned stunt woman burns up the screen. There's crashing, slashing, and a failed attempt at dashing. Think you've seen it all? Now see this. San Antonio, Texas. A husband and wife are trapped inside their minivan after flash floods turned this road into a raging river. The water is only 3 feet deep, but it flows with enough intensity to overturn the van and drown the couple inside.
Just 12 inches of water can take your vehicle and take it downstream with you in it.
Captain Steve Boldway leads San Antonio's swiftwater rescue team. He arrives on the scene and orders his crew to work fast. 2 officers tie themselves to safety lines and venture out into the raging current, where one slip or misstep could spell disaster.
There is a certain way that you have to walk in that type of water. You have to keep your feet pointed upstream. If you turn around, turn your back to it, it will take your feet out from under you.
Using this technique, the 2 men arrive at the vehicle and try to calm the stranded couple. Meanwhile, from the other side, rescuers extend a 100-foot ladder toward the van. It may be their only bridge to safety. But the ladder isn't long enough. Now the only way to save the couple involves the one method that rescuers wanted to avoid: walking them to safety. The wife goes first. She is surprised by how cold and forceful the rushing water is. Thanks to the teamwork of the officers, she makes it to safety. The woman is torn between relief and worry, desperate for her husband to join her. Rookie rescuer Brian Bonner heads out to save the man. This is Brian's first swiftwater rescue, and any myth about beginner's luck runs out quickly. The current pins Brian against the cables of the guardrail, squeezing the air out of his lungs. Brian's partner rushes over to help him. The 2 men are no match for the powerful current. Brian and his partner are swept downstream. Fighting the current, they manage to cling on to their only hope for safety: an uprooted tree. Now the 2 rescuers are stranded themselves. Upstream, the rest of the team is getting desperate. The crew in the water has to retreat because of the intensifying current, and the van threatens to become swamped. The other crew tries to use a jet ski to go across the stream, but the water is flowing far too fast. Once again, the team's only option is to wade into the rushing floodwaters, but this time, they go out as a block of 4 rescuers in order to withstand the current. Meanwhile, Brian and his stranded partner are freezing in the chilly water. A Zodiac boat crew prepares to go after them. Back upstream, the current has pinned the quartet of rescuers against the guardrail. They pause to gather their strength, then trudge toward the van, which is shifting with each surge of muddy water.
I was worried that it might break loose and slide downstream at them and then pin them against the guardrail or even toss them into the water.
At last they arrive and give the relieved driver a helmet and life preserver, praying he'll need neither. Once they brace themselves for the flood's fury, all 5 men attempt the precarious walk back through the current. With every step they make, the rushing water threatens to pull them down. After several torturous minutes in the frigid water, they finally make it back to solid ground. But what about the rescuers who are swept downstream? The Zodiac crew has rescued the 2 men and delivered them safely to shore. Even after his abrupt ride downstream, Brian Bonner never doubted he and his buddy would emerge from their ordeal.
I felt that we had both been trained well, and I also knew that the other members of the crew I was with would be there to assist us.
Being there for each other and the victims is what the Swiftwater Rescue Team is all about. But a little common sense would make things a lot easier.
They would have been safe if they would have just turned around and gone back the other way. It would have cost them maybe another minute out of their travel time, but it's better than almost dying.
14,000 feet above Lake Elsinore, California. These skydivers are set to try something new as they hang onto the wing of a plane and let go. They're going to attempt free flying, which differs from free falling in two significant ways. One, it includes plummeting head first, and two, you fall much faster. But that's not the only thing they're doing differently. For a change, Eric Teague will man the camera, while Dov McNeely, who usually shoots the footage, relishes his first time in the spotlight. He falls into the role of star very quickly, mugging for the camera with his head pointed down and his feet toward the sky. It's a perfect day for skydiving, but in this unpredictable sport, perfection doesn't last for long. Suddenly, Dov's chute engages automatically, which only happens when a skydiver is too close to the ground. Eric looks down and sees the Earth less than 4 seconds away from him, just as his own chute automatically opens. But he knows it won't slow him down, so Eric pulls the reserve chute as well. But will it be enough?
Holy shit!
Somehow he manages a survivable landing, but Eric's more concerned about his friend than himself.
Did you see another parachute come down?
Dov landed safely on the other side of the houses and soon joins him. But what caused this near miss? These are not novice skydivers, but men with hundreds of jumps to their credit. First of all, Eric was not aware of a very crucial detail.
No one told me before about when you do video, you have to be really aware because you'll get so focused in on what you're doing that everything around you, you get kind of tunnel vision.
Eric was so focused on filming, he forgot the ground was approaching. And at speeds of up to 180 miles an hour, it was coming much faster than he'd planned for. That could have been a fatal mistake, if not for a safety device attached to his skydiving rig, which pulls his ripcord when he forgot to. But when Eric's main chute deployed, he still wasn't safe yet. With less than 500 feet to impact, it was still in the process of opening, and he needed something to put on the brakes. Every second counts, as Eric pulls his high-performance reserve chute, designed for fast stops. Both parachutes are now open, but they're actually working against each other. He must cut away the main chute and float down on the reserve. With expert timing and amazing skill, he manages to release the main without it tangling the reserve seconds before impact. Months later, Eric is back to skydiving, and the only change he's made is to plan every jump even more carefully, so that he'll never be caught off guard again. And after reflecting on his near disaster, Eric gives a simple explanation why he happened to cheat death.
It was just pure luck.
Tijuana, Mexico. Soap opera actress Ana Dela is used to scripted drama, but she's also an escape artist. And while some call her act a hoax, tonight, the drama is very real. The daredevil starlet is bound in chains. Then her assistants place her inside a sturdy wooden trunk, packed with timed, explosive charges. A gunny sack is pulled over her entire body and tied tightly above her head. Finally, the lid of the trunk is shut, chained, and locked, with Ana Dela and the explosives crammed inside. Now she has only 45 seconds to escape before the trunk blows up. Within 12 seconds, Ana Dela has freed herself from the chains and gunny sack. All she has left to do is remove the lock on the trunk. Picking a padlock with a hairpin is nearly impossible when you can't see your hands. But at last the lock falls away. All she has left is the latch. It should be the easiest part, but it sticks for a moment. Anadela scrambles out of the trunk. Before she can run clear, the trunk explodes, and Anadela catches fire. The crew rushes in to snuff out the flames. They have no idea how badly Anadela's been hurt. Once they remove the blankets, they find her body covered in 2nd and 3rd degree burns. Anadela is rushed to the hospital. Today, Anadela has undergone 5 surgeries to help her burns. She is still haunted by the memory of the explosion.
I felt a blow on my back, which was very hard, and I started to feel the burning. It was horrible.
Not only did she wrongly gauge how much time she had, a sudden shift in the wind blew the flames in her direction.
Before I got out, the wind was blowing the other way, and the moment I got out, it came blowing my way. I got covered with gasoline. It exploded, and my body was engulfed with fire.
Incredibly, it was the first time Anadela had ever worn a fireproof hood for one of her stunts. The extra protection was a request of her fiancé, who was worried about her safety during the explosive climax.
It could have burned my hair, my face, it could have burned my head, and it's possible that I wouldn't be here today.
For now, the explosive incident has taken Anadela the actress out of the limelight. But it has given Anadela the escape artist an unexpected bonus: credibility.
There are lots of people who still think that the escape is just a trick. But what better proof than this accident, right? It was supposed to explode after 45 seconds, and it did.
Phoenix, Arizona. When a convict escapes from jail and steals a truck with his buddy, police want to see one thing: him back behind bars. Gung-ho State Trooper Tim Mason joins the chase. It's his job to drive up ahead of the suspect and puncture the truck's tires with a device called a stop stick. But the officer has his hands full, because he also has a camera crew along for the ride.
Remind them that I have a camera crew.
The suspect is considered highly dangerous and must be stopped at any cost.
We knew that he was not going to come quietly. He wasn't just going to pull over.
Finally, ahead of the chase, Tim prepares to throw out the stop stick. A sheath of thin plastic filled with metal shards designed to puncture tires. The stop stick hits the one tire that's already flat. But Tim is undaunted.
773, cleared the spikes.
The officer races ahead of the suspect, itching to take another shot. He waits to the last second to make his move.
Yeah!
Tim thinks he's hit the jackpot,
773, all his tires are out.
but he's getting ahead of himself. There are still 2 tires left. The next time, he gives himself more room to maneuver.
773, I've got him at Maryland. I'll go ahead and do it. I got a camera crew, fellas. Have you guys get the hell back. Have them get back so I don't...
Tim looks for the best angle to strike. He just misses either remaining tire, but the officer simply will not give up.
The adrenaline basically takes over and you just go out and get the job done.
On his next try, his persistence pays off. And a mere 60 seconds later, it pays off once more.
All tires are flat and I've cleared the sticks.
On 4 bare rims, the suspect can't speed anymore. But he's not done breaking the law. Tim is mortified as the driver shoots heroin into his veins.
He's injecting drugs into his wrist.
When I saw him injecting drugs into his arm, I knew that he was reached the point of all desperation.
With nothing to lose, the drugged-up suspect makes his most desperate move yet.
He's getting on the freeway the wrong way.
As the pursuit moves up the exit ramp, Tim is filled with dread.
I think that day I got a feeling that I have never had as a police officer before, and that was fear for the people around me.
The oncoming traffic swerves aside as the suspect barrels toward them. Tim is anxious to end this before something awful happens.
773, can I box him into the wall?
Permission to act is slow in coming, so Tim decides to take the bull by the horns. He rams the truck and keeps the pedal to the metal. It's a move worth a second look. Tim uses his patrol car like a bulldozer. He plows the suspect right off the freeway and out of commission.
He knew that this time we were not going to walk away from him. He was not going to get away.
7-3, vehicle stopped. Get your hands up! Stop.
The stunned suspect and his partner are surrounded by officers and canine units. Within moments, they're pulled from the truck and taken into custody. Inside the cab, the officers find an array of needles and drug paraphernalia. This guy's been busy since the jailbreak. Meanwhile, Tim winds down from his harrowing encounter and receives accolades from his fellow officers.
Thank you for helping me with this, my brother.
This carjacking junkie thought he could get away while getting a fix. But Trooper Tim Mason was riding a high of his own. And taking down bad guys is how he feeds his adrenaline addiction.
This pursuit, compared to any other pursuit that I've ever been in, was by far the most dramatic and most adrenaline-rushing pursuit. By far. There's absolutely no comparison.
On a frozen lake in Russia, a reindeer has wandered onto the ice. She struggles to get up, but her hooves were not designed for ice skating. It looks hopeless until a man appears. But what are his intentions? To help or to have her for dinner? This 500-pound animal isn't taking any chances, so she tries to bite him. Lucky for her, the man and his friends are nature-loving ice fishermen. And they're feeling generous, so they try to remove the stranded doe. First, they try to motivate her by clapping. While she appreciates the applause, she's not really moved. Then they attempt the poke and prod technique, but that just annoys her. The fishermen even try chipping out some footholds for her, but that too proves futile. Exhausted, exasperated, and unimpressed, the reindeer just lies down while they employ the ultimate low-tech approach. 2 long pieces of wood. Needless to say, that fails too. The men are desperate now and decide to bring out their secret weapon, the reindeer spatula. And it helps. A little. They finally get close, only to watch her get tangled in the underbrush. But the men have now earned the reindeer's trust. She relaxes and they drag her to safety. Their gift to her was the rescue. She's grateful to be off the ice, and even more grateful they were fishermen, not hunters.
Yeah.
So after a short rest, she'll get up and leave the lake to them.
Seriosa.
In Richmond, California, police are at the scene of a tragic accident. The driver at fault has disappeared, and not just because he caused the crash. He was also driving a stolen car, and he hit the gas when he saw police. The man fled for all of 17 seconds before he slammed into the other motorist, killing the woman instantly. Now as night falls, police continue to search the neighborhood for the fugitive, determined he won't get a second chance to ruin somebody's life. Suddenly, there's a sighting.
He's on the rooftop.
The suspect has climbed onto a roof, hoping to avoid police. In seconds, he's surrounded.
Bring that car up. Spotlight up here.
But this guy has no intention of going quietly. Showing no remorse for the collision he caused or the life he took, he actually taunts police, strutting along his perch. What he says next tells officers exactly what they're in for.
Boy, you'll get that. You got shoot. Come down here, man. Here, come on down. Come on down. There's nothing to prove.
Police don't want to use deadly force, but the suspect seems determined to initiate a confrontation. He even starts stretching, as if limbering up for a fight. Authorities decide it's time to take this guy down on their terms instead of his. As soon as police are on the roof, he retreats to the highest ground available, the chimney. 5 officers move in. One has a shotgun, but another has a taser. 2 electrified cords ready to shock him into submission. As officers distract him, the taser gets fired. This time the man's dance is not out of arrogance. As the suspect fights to get the cords off, sparks leap to his arms and chest. It would knock most people off their feet, but this guy just gets angrier. Trying to shake the taser, he hops to the rooftop, and the officers swarm him. It takes all 5 of them to bring him under control, and even a canine to make sure he stays that way. The man will now face charges of vehicular manslaughter and felony hit and run. He may have taken criminality and arrogance to new heights, but police were still able to take him down. In Russia, a car teeters upside down on the street. Has there been a horrible accident? No. It's just a traveling stunt show trying to entertain the crowds. In most countries, becoming a stuntman means going to school and learning the craft. But here, just walking away from a wreck lets you graduate to the next level in the school of hard knocks. In this stunt, the men are attempting to blow one car so sky high so the others can drive under. Unfortunately, timing is everything, and theirs is not so good. The driver demands to know what happened to the detonation that was supposed to lift the car. There it is. Of course, their safety equipment is also way off mark, leaving one hopeful stuntman flat on his face and out cold. In most places, these feats are done in high-performance muscle cars, but in these Russian stunt shows, they'll use anything that runs. But you have to admire their creativity, because in Russia, the need for thrills is certainly the mother of all invention. Santiago, Chile. A pair of knife-wielding punks storm an empty city bus. Veteran driver Carlos Kruger recoils as one of the hijackers menaces him with a 6-inch blade and demands the bus fare cash. Meanwhile, his partner in crime takes the wheel and stops the vehicle. Wary of the flashing blade, Carlos resists the urge to fight back as the partner grabs the bag of money. The knife man then forces Carlos to empty his own pockets. The thieves take all of his cash, even his cigarettes. Finally, like a pair of hyenas, they leap out onto the street and scurry away with their plunder. The driver is left penniless and angry, an all too familiar feeling. That's because Carlos has already been robbed twice in the past. It happens the same way every time. They attack at the end of his route, when the bus is empty and the fare bag is full of cash. But this time, Carlos has some help. The city has just installed surveillance cameras on every bus. The latest pair of bandits who so boldly rob him don't realize their faces, and their every action are being recorded as evidence. In Carlos Kruger's case, the most recent hijacking was the final straw. He retired soon afterward. But whoever replaces him can breathe easier, knowing that as they navigate the mean streets of Santiago, they are, finally, being looked after.